Good morning. Good morning, Dimple and Helen. Good to see you. Morning, Lynn. Very quiet this morning. There's usually a few more people here by now. Be a rush in a minute, probably. Hopefully. Or if not, don't matter really. Good to see you anyway. Here's Jane. Good morning, Jane. And Rose. Hello, Rose. Yeah, I think there's plenty of people. It's just that there's some mornings people arrive early, some mornings people arrive late. And it's okay. Good morning, Jenny and Joe and Chris. Good to see you. And Margaret. Good morning, Margaret. So it's 7 o'clock. We're going to do a self-care meditation this morning. We've not done it for a while. I thought it was time that we brought it back for a little while. Just a meditation where we look after ourselves, which is very important because we don't often look after ourselves, do we? Morning, Philippa. So I'm going to start with a poem, which I've read quite a few times before, but I'm going to read it again because it's so good and so appropriate. It's by Mary Oliver, and it's called Wild Geese. And the message is really important. Good morning, Philippa. Philippa Atkin. 2 Philippas this morning. So this poem, the message is important. So pin back your luggles, as they say. It's called Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile the world goes on. Meanwhile the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Wow. Well, there's so much in there that we could unpack. But the first line, you do not have to be good, I think is probably the most important. We go around in the world, don't we, criticizing other people, but spending a lot of time criticizing ourselves and beating ourselves up for not being as good as some part of us thinks we should be. And I guess a lot of this is based on fear, on wanting to fit in, on self-value and all that kind of thing. But really, we don't have to be good. We just have to be what we are and to notice how we are. And there are things that we could improve for sure. But if we can notice those, that's all we need to do. We don't need to beat ourselves up for being less than perfect. That just makes for suffering and pain and doesn't help us in any way and doesn't help other people either. So in the meditation we're going to do this morning, we're just looking at the different aspects of ourselves and just really having a look at how we regard ourselves and what happens in our minds. And of course, all this is mind-based. It's all thought-based. It's all this chattering mind that is somehow desperate to control life. And if we can just let these thoughts go and we can just relax a bit with however we are, then that's okay. And there's a bit at the end, about the wild geese and the rain moving across the prairies and the deep trees. The world goes on regardless. The world is always there, always changing, and so are we. And all we need to do is to just relax into that. And another bit calls to the wild geese, harsh and exciting. The world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting. So the world is both harsh and exciting. It's both pleasant and unpleasant. It changes constantly. And in Buddhism, we talk about being blown about by the worldly winds. So things will happen that we don't like. Things will happen that we like. Can we just be with that as they are? Be with those things exactly as they are and not criticize ourselves for not being good enough or get upset because things aren't going our way. So there's a lot in there. So we'll begin this meditation, I think, and if I can remember, I'll read the poem again just before we actually get right into the meditation. Meanwhile, I just need to have a cough. Okay. So welcome, before we start, to Paul and Sarah who've joined us, and anybody else who joined us, and everybody on Catch Up who joins us later. Great to see you all. Okay. So just maybe taking a few deep breaths. Just noticing that we're here right now this morning. Right now in this moment, not 10 minutes ago or how we're going to be in another 10 minutes. How are we now? Just right now. Just taking stock. Mentally, emotionally, and physically. And however you are, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, comfortable or uncomfortable. Just being okay with that. Bringing love to any discomfort, a sense of kindness to any achiness or difficulty you might be having. Just being okay with the way it is at the moment. Not fighting it, not getting into any conflict. And just noticing the contact with the chair or the bed or the floor. Just enjoying that sense of being held by the earth. Giving up your weight. Relaxing. Got nothing to do. Nowhere to go. And everything is fine, exactly as it is. Just allowing thoughts to come and go as they will, not trying to stop them in any way, but not getting caught up with them if you can avoid it. Just watching them come and go like clouds passing in the sky. Just allowing the mind to do what the mind does, not getting into any battle with it. You might even have a bit of a laugh at the thoughts that arise, the way the mind tries to take control, the way the mind tries to catch our attention. It's quite funny. They're bringing attention to the heart center, somewhere at the bottom of the rib cage in the center of the body. And just seeing if you can make contact with this heart, with the love and kindness that belongs there. Maybe bringing to mind somebody you love. Maybe bringing to mind a good friend or a relative or a pet. And allowing the heart to open up. If you're having trouble with that, then not trying too hard, just relaxing. Just seeing what happens. Nobody's scoring you out of 10. You can't do this wrong. As much as you can, allowing the the heart to open and allowing any sense of love and kindness to permeate all through your being. Wild geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile the world goes on. Meanwhile the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. This is self-care meditation, and we're going to begin by just having a reflection on ourselves, on the whole of ourselves, the whole of this complicated mechanism called me. How do we see ourselves? Are we happy with ourselves? Are we unhappy about who we are? Do we like ourselves or dislike ourselves in general? Just being honest with ourselves. And if you have a sense of dislike towards yourself, then just bring a sense of love to that. If you quite like yourself, bring a sense of love to that. So however we're feeling about ourselves, just opening our hearts to that. There may be pain in it, there may be joy. Just seeing ourselves in a kindly way. We are very complex creatures, living in a complex world. And we get blown around by events. We get blown around by our mind and by other people. We encounter pain as well as joy. And we're always doing our best. So for a few moments, just gazing upon ourselves with a kindly gaze, opening our hearts to ourselves as we make this sometimes difficult journey, having a sense of support for ourselves. Just not being too hard on ourselves, softening and caring for this person that tries so hard to make the life work. So as we go through life, things happen. We come across circumstances that we find difficult, that are painful, that we maybe don't feel quite up to. And sometimes it's quite likely that we don't feel good enough, that we don't feel that we're somehow up to this life. And we need support. We need help. And we get that sometimes from our friends, from others around us, from our spiritual community, if we have one. But sometimes we need more than that. So can we find a good friend within us? Can we be our own best friend? Our own best friend that's always there, no matter what. When times are good, when times are difficult. Can we be there to support ourselves, to help keep a sense of perspective, to give ourselves the love and kindness and care that we need at any time? Can we be our own best friend? Maybe just sitting here, opening our hearts, allowing our best friend, our own best friend, to emerge, to love us, to give us care and attention. So keeping our own best friend in mind and being our own best friend, can we find deep within us the child within us, this part of us that gets frightened, is a bit scared about life, gets stressed, maybe gets angry. This part of us that feels not quite good enough, not quite up to what's needed. Probably there within every one of us. So can we look after this child? this hangover from our actual childhood? Can we help our inner child to feel okay? Can we give it love? Can we help it? Can we be there for it? Maybe we could hold his or her hand, maybe put our arm around them, snuggle up to them, help them to feel okay, just as we would with our own family or a small child that we know well. Can we do this with our inner child? Can we care for them? Can we love and care for our inner child? And keeping hold of the inner child, keeping a sense of kindness and care for this small being inside us, and making contact now with our inner critic, this part of us that is always carping, never seems satisfied, always grumbling about how we are, the way we act, what we look like. We might think this inner critic is a bit hostile, a bit harsh. And sometimes it feels like that. But actually, our inner critic is just a bit like the small child. It's also scared. Our inner critic just wants us to be safe, wants us to fit in, and so gets very worked up about things. But actually, our inner critic is an overreaction, seeking a perfection that doesn't exist. Our inner critic is just worried and gets things out of perspective. So can we soothe our inner critic? Can we bring a sense of love and kindness to this voice in our heads that complains and grumbles? Can we love our inner critic? That's all it needs. Give it kindness and care. look after it. Help it to feel less frightened, less vulnerable. So in the final stage, coming back to all these different parts of us, all these different parts of this complex human being doing the best in a difficult world. Can we be our own best friend, always there to support ourselves, always helping to put things in perspective, always offering kindness and love when times are difficult? And can we look after the small child within, this part of us that feels scared and not good enough sometimes? Can we help it to feel okay? Can we care for this small child within and help it to grow? And can we look after our inner critic, this worried part of us that is just desperately trying to make us perfect and failing? Can we help it to feel okay? Can we help our inner critic to relax, to let it know that everything's fine? We don't need to be perfect. We don't need to get everything right. We're just human beings doing our best. Can we care for our inner critic as well? And then finally reflecting on all of the human beings in the world, all those around us at home, our friends, the people meditating this morning with us, and complete strangers. Every one of them, you can bet, feels the way that we feel. And we all try and put on this brave face. We all think that we should be better than we are. Even if we're appearing to be very confident, you can bet your life that behind that there is the same kind of emotions, the same kind of views and difficulties. So can we have a sense of kindness to others who are going through exactly what we go through? Can we have a sense of love to all other human beings. Every one of them with an inner child that needs care and an inner critic that creates problems. Every one of them needing a good friend, needing a help and love and kindness. So can we open our hearts to all other beings? All of them just doing the best like us to live their lives. Can we bring a sense of kindness and care to our communication with others? Well, there we are. So can we remember to be kind to ourselves as we go through this Wednesday? Just making allowances, not expecting too much of ourselves, just relaxing, giving ourselves some love and kindness. Wouldn't that be great if we could do that all the time? Welcome to Stuart and Michelle, who joined us later. And thank you all for coming, for being here, whether live or on the recording. It's really good to have you with us. I hope that was a good start to the day for you. And yeah, the sun's out in York, so I hope it's going to be a nice day for you. And so just stay safe, be kind to yourself, and lots of love to you. All the best. Bye for now.